thank you so much for having me here. I'm quite embarrassed to be the only person speaking in English, but my German is non-existent, so I hope that you will all forgive me. So I'm here to talk about Blinkist, and particularly audio and its role in lifelong learning. First up, a little bit about me. Thank you for that great introduction. I joined Blinkist in September last year. And my role is really to be the bridge between Blinkist and the publishing industry worldwide. My current focus, I spend a lot of time talking to publishing partners in the US and the UK, mostly because the founders, and Holger in particular, of Blinkist have done such a great job with talking to German publishers and creating some really strong relationships here. Before I joined Blinkist, I was at Audible in the UK, where I looked after all of our commercial and strategic relationships with content partners. I joined in 2012, so it was fascinating for me to look at all the timelines that Keelan was presenting just now. Because when I joined Audible, people thought I was crazy. They didn't really understand why I was going into the audio space. I think it was considered still very old-fashioned at that point in time. And by the time I left, 6 years later, it was really, audiobooks were really driving the digital revenue for publishers, and indeed for authors, certainly in the UK and the US. So it was a very, very exciting time. And I was attracted to Blinkist by two things really, by the purpose of the company and by its products, both of which really appeal to me. So in terms of purpose, Blinkist purpose is that we want to inspire people to keep learning. Learning has always been in the company's DNA. The four founders, Nicholas, Holger, Toby and Sebastian, they were really driven to found the company by their own personal journey to keep learning. When they left their studies and they were working full time, they felt that they didn't have the time that they used to have to read books. And they felt that all those kind of big, cool ideas that they used to get from reading weren't really available to them anymore. And at the same time, they observed this big shift towards mobile reading. And gradually, as they were all talking together, they realized that they do read a lot now, but the way that they read is different. It is in small chunks, it is on the go. And so they really set about to design a product that presents those big ideas and the content that they felt was so valuable from books to fit into more of a mobile lifestyle. So a few sort of things that are really important to Blinkist. Curation is key. What we do is all about presenting the best ideas and a range of ideas and those things that are worthy of exploration. So that may be from best-selling titles, but it may also be from independent authors, from topics that are incredibly relevant right now and are all over the media, to more niche subjects that are still sort of very related to personal and professional development and deepening knowledge. And with that, our focus is on non-fiction. For me, that's incredibly exciting. It sets us apart from other audio services. We've got a very specific focus. We design all of our product and our content with that in mind. We also know a lot about our customers. And we optimize for time. We want to fit into people's lives. We want that learning to be accessible. So whether you've got 2 minutes while you're waiting for a doctor's appointment, or a 20-minute commute, or a 9-hour transatlantic flight, we aim to be able to have content that will enable you to dive into a subject and learn something new. So a little bit about Blinkist, for those of you who aren't familiar with us. So the Blinkist HQ are in Berlin, and we now have over 150 people there in that office. I'm actually based in the UK, as you can see. I am lucky enough to be able to work remotely, and we also have people in various kind of cities around the world. We are a mobile-first content subscription service. That's how we describe ourselves, focused on lifelong learning and personal and professional development. I think there are sort of two defining features for the service. One is that we have a mobile-first design. Again, that real sort of focused on time. And the second one is that we are a subscription service. We attract people who want to learn more. They've actually make a commitment to learning. So that subscription element really works well for us. Our premium customers pay €80 a year. Most of them are actually annual subscribers, which coming from Audible, I thought was incredible, with very sort of high retention rates. There's a real value there, I think, that we add to people's lives. I am very proud to say that we have won a lot of awards. Because I'm still new, I feel like I can say that without any sort of arrogance attached to it. The top two icons that you can see there are for design. So we won a United Nations World Summit Award, which is for digital innovation for improving society. And in 2017, we won a Google Material Design Award as well. We also have won and continue to win lots of workplace awards. So LinkedIn regularly names us one as the top startup employers, have done for years. And we were recently called the happiest startup in Germany by a new platform, which I thought was great. We've always been very keen on establishing strong local partnerships to raise the profile of our content, of lifelong learning, and that accessibility for people who maybe don't think that they've got time to fit books and big ideas and learning into their lives. So we've had content partnerships with the likes of Deutsche Bahn and Der Spiegel, and we also work with associations like the DFB to give members access to learning. One of the best anecdotes I learned recently is there's a German university professor who got in touch with us and told us that she plays our Blink's content to her students in lectures to introduce sort of a topic or a concept, which I really love, because that was the whole point of the development of the product in the first place, is to introduce these big ideas and get people excited about delving deeper into those subjects. So what content do we create? So we're very, very focused on learning, and our flagship format was really built around that. So we call them Blinks. These are 10 to 15 minute pieces of content that are available in text and in audio, in English and German, that are created by the Blinkist team. And they pull together key insights from a non-fiction book, so across lots of kind of different formats, with the focus on presenting the key concepts and encouraging people to delve a little bit deeper. It's been described, I think, as like the closest thing there is to a movie trailer for books, which I really love. And our emphasis is really on discovery. The majority of our customers tell us that they do use Blinkist as a discovery tool, as a sort of access point to different themes and subjects and ideas. And indeed, you know, a sort of low barrier entry to authors and titles that they may not have heard of before. We're really proud that such a high proportion of people who consume our content say that they go on to sort of purchase the full book elsewhere to listen to or to read. For us, that means that we're doing our job really, really well. And I think in the latest survey that we did, it was just over 85% of users say that they read the same or more books since using Blinkist, which is really important to us. So here is Blinkist in a blink. All of this means that we're now one of the leading micro-learning platforms focused on sort of this digestible, high quality content for consumption on the go. We've now got over 30 million users worldwide, a number that has grown significantly since I joined even in September. The US and Canada is our biggest market, but that still only represents a third of our user base. So I think there are lots of opportunities for growth in different areas. Next biggest is Germany, followed by the UK, India, Australia, and then the rest of the world. We've got a fairly well-distributed customer base. And who are they? Well, they're lifelong learners. They're working professionals and entrepreneurs, people who are investing in learning and self-development. From a recent survey we did with our US users, we know that 90% of them are college educated, 60% are sort of in that 25 to 44 age bracket, so post-studies, trying to fit time into sort of keep learning while they're still working full-time. And 85% of them have incomes above $85,000 a year. In terms of our Blinks catalogue, we've got over 3,500 Blinks now across 27 different non-fiction categories. About 2,500 of those are in English and just over 1,000 in German. And we have English and German content teams who add new Blinks every single week. So audio at Blinkist, I think this has been a really interesting evolution, certainly for me to learn about, because the product was originally envisaged purely as a text-based service. And audio was introduced in 2014, so that's sort of 2 years after the company launched, really on intuition. Based on the growth of audio and mobile consumption that the founders and the rest of the team could see. And now nearly 70% of all consumption on Blinkist is audio. I mean, this probably won't be a surprise to most people who are attending today. Those of us who've worked in audio know how perfect it is for learning. For a lot of people, listening to content improves retention. And so we are constantly improving both the product and the format of the content we're creating to sort of maximize that impact and also the retention of the information. And so we're really building this expertise and sort of habituating the behavior of learning, getting people to come back day after day. And I think audio is a key part of that. There are interesting differences in consumption patterns for those who tend to read and those who listen. And we have these sort of spikes in consumption every morning and afternoon on weekdays, the classic kind of commuter time, or where people are doing routine tasks like walking the dog or going to the gym. And those spikes are driven by audio. You know, this is the time that people want to use productively, right? Perhaps otherwise dead time where they're traveling or doing something that they don't need to concentrate on, and they really want to use that to listen and to learn something new. We find that those who consume audio content at Blinkist tend to listen for a little bit longer, so the sessions that they have within our app are longer. That may just be because people who read are fast readers, but I think there is something to be said for an audio experience engaging and sort of keeping people a little bit longer, and that's certainly something that behaviour that I used to see Audible as well. So our next challenge, I think, is to really build like a kick-ass audio highlighting feature, because that's the one thing that those who switch between text and audio always say. You know, they love being able to highlight little passages and, you know, vignettes from the Blinks to refer to at a later date. And I think that's something we'd love to build in with audio as well and make that a really beautifully designed experience. So I am going to play you now one of our German Blinks of a sort of evergreen title, which I will not endeavour to pronounce, but in English it is How to Stop Worrying and Start Living.
Blink Nummer 10. Sorge für genug Erholung. Und zwar nicht erst, wenn du schon erschöpft bist. Wer kennt nicht das Phänomen, am Ende eines Arbeitstags ausgelaugter und erschöpfter zu sein, als, sagen wir, zur Mittagspause? Wer glaubt, dies liege an all der geistig anspruchsvollen Arbeit, die er im Laufe eines Tages im Büro zu erledigen hat, ist auf dem Holzweg. Denn Es ist allgemein anerkannt, dass wir bis zu 12 Stunden am Stück arbeiten können, ohne uns geistig zu verausgaben. Woher rührt also unsere Erschöpfung?
Brilliant. So moving on to the evolution of Blinkist. And this is a really exciting year for us. We are doubling down on our commitment to audio, and we're creating more content that is sort of designed to fit into busy lives. So we launched our first original audio format in January, which is called 2 Minutes With. And as you can see, we collaborated with marketing guru Seth Godin. And what I love about this is, you know, Seth is really great at challenging what you can actually learn in 2 minutes. I have to say, I was deeply skeptical the first time I heard that this is what we were doing, but it is a brilliant series. It's really focused on sort of thought starters and challenging traditional thinking, and presenting new perspectives. And I think every time you leave one of those sort of 2-minute chunks, it sends you away with questions to think about and to answer yourself. So you learn, but it also prompts you to kind of think a little bit deeper about certain topics, which is really effective. It's performing very well. It's great to see the reaction from customers with us doing something a little bit new. And the next step is really piloting other innovative formats that sort of speak to our mission, and provide different depths of learning. That's something that's really important to us, which leads us to our second format, which launched yesterday, which is our first documentary series. So State of Mind, what I love about this is these are deeply personal stories with fascinating individuals, and it sort of unpacks the mindset and the events that led to their success. So it's not only about insights, but it's about application. I think those personal stories, that human element is really intrinsic to sort of Blinkist's DNA. So I'm really excited to see how this performs. And for this, we're actually making it available as a podcast as well as through the Blinkist app. So that's another interesting experiment. So I am going to leave you by playing a little bit of the trailer for this. So hopefully entice you to go and listen more.
From Invisible Media and Blinkist.
I needed to change who I was. Every time I looked in the mirror, there was a moment of who is that? Eventually, my answer became, I'm the motherfucker that doesn't care.
I need to do something crazy today. I need to do something that's never been done before.
People on their path to success do crazy things.
That's again an ego trip. I wanted people to remind in 20 or 30 years that I did the job I had to do at that moment.
It all connects to a bigger mission.
What's your one thing? Like, what's the thing you were put on the planet to do? Let's make sure you're spending as much time as possible on that thing.
I'm Niklas Jansen, and this is State of Mind. I've always been passionate about learning, about sharing knowledge with the people around me. And that's why 7 years ago, I co-founded Blinkist with the goal of inspiring people to keep learning and discovering life-changing ideas.
I have to fool myself into understanding what I really want.
It was a wake-up call for me, and then I realized that you can't have everything. You have to know what's important to you.